Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and president of brokerage and realestatecoach.com.
And my name is Greg McDaniel, the co-host and co-founder of the wildly successful and popular podcast, Real Estate Uncensored. But today, Bernice and I together are Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
Well, Greg, and we have a fantastic guest with us today. Her name is Valerie Torelli. I love this woman. She's the #1 in Costa Mesa, not only the #1 agent, the #1 brokerage for 30 years running. She is a brilliant marketer, and she's only got 15 to 20 people in her brokerage, and she's competing with huge offices in Orange County from Coldwell Banker, from Berkshire Hathaway, Compass, and she still kicks their butt, which I love about her. We're here after the election, and what we want to talk about today is there's going to be half the country that is very, very upset. And the title of today's session is Healing Our Lives and Healing Our Communities. And what each of us believes is that the real estate community is uniquely positioned to start bringing our communities back together. And each of us is going to share some ideas about what you can do that's going beyond posting on the social media or something that is one and done. We're going to be looking at long-term things that make a difference in people's lives. And from that will help your business, but the focus is on making a difference that is long lasting. So Val, lead off, because I love your ideas. In fact, you dressed up as an Easter bunny, and you couldn't deliver the baskets personally. So you're out there driving around and dancing in front of houses as the Easter bunny.
and something like that virtually cost a tenth of what it cost me to put on the egg hunt every year, which is thousands and thousands of dollars. And actually it had more impact because it was so well deserved. So it's not even thinking out of the box. It's thinking about, a long term. When I started my business, it was long term. So the election, it's not as important as what are you going to do today to unify us. We're all human. We all have so much in common with each other and look for that commonality. So something, if you're a real estate agent and just starting out and you don't have thousands of dollars to invest, you could start out something with really small, like at a school, asking where is there a need right now, if your school is needing or not, and what you could do to help fund something like that. One of the first things I did, it cost absolutely no money, is my city of Costa Mesa was stopping the donut fund for the seniors. So how much was the donut fund at that time? It was $150 a year. So not being one to, it's great that you do things, but you need to be able to escalate it and say, how do I get some publicity out of this? So I'm not embarrassed to say that I literally showed up at the Costa Mesa, where they're having the meetings at night, where the Chamber of Commerce is meeting, where the city is meeting, and the donut fund was up for, the city was no longer going to pay for it. So I hired a bunch of high school kids. When it took time to, the time came to talk about it, they went down the aisles delivering donuts to everybody in the audience. And then I stood up with a check for $150, which today would be like $15,000 for me, because it was I had hardly any money at all, and agreed to fund the donut fund for the seniors for the rest of the year. Made the front page of the local newspaper because it's fun and it's uplifting. Find those areas of, like in sales, when we teach and talk, we talk about ASS, and you're a little bit of an ass if you don't do this, which is achieve a goal, satisfy a need, or solve a problem. Look for those areas, and they don't have to call tens of thousands of dollars. Now keep in mind, I used to have to advertise in the newspaper. Could you imagine doing something like that through social media? Now it's all free. You're somebody there, you've got a YouTube video, you've got things like that going, and it's fun. And guess what? It's non-controversial. It doesn't have to be blue or red. Isn't in any of those things. It's not even black and white. It's this beautiful shade of gray of doing the most wonderful things for somebody.
Now let's talk about your what you helped with the school curricula in your area. This is the kind of thing.
Certainly.
If you're a broker or you're a team or you're doing well as an individual agent, these are when we
Really,
talk about the kinds of things that you can be doing. So Val, say a
sure.
bit about that.
Really proud of that. When you go into this is what's so nice, because if you met with the principal, we've done it with several principals of the schools, what can we do to help you? And they'll say, gee, we need more supplies, we need things like that. So we have, now we're talking things that cost lots of money, but it doesn't have to. We've funded the coding program for 2 of the schools. Several of them we're making them, it runs about $5,000 a year, but it's the equal leveling playing field. It doesn't matter what language you speak or whatever, everyone understands how to use that computer, and that is changing kids' lives for the future. Because if they're good at thinking analytically like that, it doesn't matter what you look like, who your mother was, where you came from. If you can be behind the scenes and change those things, or can think logic like that, and how do you even know it until you're put into that position? So we're funding it in several schools. If you can't afford something like that, you can certainly ask other businesses to join with you. I don't want to dominate this because I know Greg's got some great ideas, but it's about maybe getting a restaurant or something like that to co-market those things with you, or just fund a child or 2 to start with. Again, you can shamelessly social media that today and get it out there that you're doing that, and you challenge somebody else to come up with the $10 a month. Just does that, it's so simple and yet so dramatic. And
Val, one of the things I know that is near and dear to your heart is the arts. What have you done to help your local schools in this area?
oh, wow. Okay, I need to go back a little bit because arts are my passion. But I want to explain what happened is I started doing with the Glee Club and the Drama Club and giving $100 here and funding their little programs. And I had a really high up business person pull me over and go, Valerie, if you really want to make an impact on the school long term, and I like the way of thinking about long term when you're investing, where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years from now? He said, go to the sports program first. So we bought a golf cart for the local football team. We started funding the magazines and doing some of those, type of things that help, which then drew more people to wanting to be in that cheerleading club of that high school that was doing well. So to go to my arts, what I love, well, I love speaking to them, letting them know that we all have the committees meeting and not letting in your head and not letting those things interrupt you. But we've done instruments. We have the local school play at all of, actually do the instruments and musical glee clubs and things at our local events, which gives them more exposure, and that costs us absolutely nothing to do. So getting in on a grassroots type of a situation has been extremely rewarding. And literally parents will say, if we ever want to sell our house, and I'm like, it's fine, I get it. And it's easy to see them on a different level, and they see you as a human versus a real estate agent. Or yeah, it's been really rewarding.
So Greg, I want to turn this over to you. You have, your passion is really kind of working with businesses. Say more about what you're doing now and going forward.
Sure. I want to kind of dovetail a little bit on what Val was saying, because I think she and my father, Terry, have been in the business for a long period of time, and what my father used to do, and I thought it was silly back then, but now I see the genius in it is that back when there were computer labs, before all of us carried computers in our pockets, he said that he would donate $1,000 from his commission, which back then was a lot of money, because the commissions weren't that high, to any computer club of the child of the family's choice, and that went miles until we got rid of computer clubs. The other thing that I was kind of thinking about here, kind of giving back to businesses, is twofold. One, we're post-election, so people are frazzled and everything else. But here's the cool thing. Bernice and I were talking about this in the past, and I totally forgot about it. Instead of using your marketing dollars as either a brokerage or an agent, why don't you, okay, a lot of the kids in different income brackets depend on the school lunches for their food, right? This is where they get some of their 1 or 2 of their meals for the whole day. So what if you guys, as a brokerage, this is more of a brokerage play, because there's a lot of layers here. What if a brokerage said, you know what, we're going to stop all marketing. we're going to take every piece of marketing, we're going to match dollar for dollar for every kind of food in the different categories, like what kids would get at school, apples, sandwiches, meat, stuff like that. But then take that dollars and then put packages together for kids, because sometimes they're ashamed that they have to go get the food. So make it a very low key thing in the brokerage where kids or families can come pick up food for their day, their week, or whatever else. And that's going to help your brand, because people are going to talk about ABC brokerage who's feeding these families in the neighborhoods, and you're not spending any more money. You're just giving the money to a different area, right? And that one really hits me a lot, because I think that impacts a family, that impacts a child, that impacts a community. And you cannot buy that when it comes to helping someone else. One of my other big passions is videos. Anyone who knows me, I bombard you with my videos on a consistent basis. But I think right now, going out, kind of setting aside a day a week or a couple hours a week, whatever it's going to be, go out there to your Chamber of Commerce and say, can I get a list of the different businesses here in town? And then call them up and say, hey, I want to do a puff piece for you. I'm going to come in, zero cost to you. I want to highlight what you do for the community, what you do for your employees, what your special of the week is. I don't want you to cook a meal with me. I just want you to show me what you do. And I want to give you as much publicity as humanly possible, and take $100 of your own money, push it out onto Facebook, and give them the visibility. It'll cost you $400 a month. It'll be, impact 4 different businesses. And you can also ask that business, let's say, hey, look, I'm going to do all this. If you want to match me, then we can go for 2 weeks at $100 spend. That is something you can really help folks, because it's not ever, and I want you guys to hear me, it's never about you, the agent. It's about the business. It's about their employees. It's about their product. It's about their bottom line. I have a friend, Keith Lucas, out of South Carolina. He's doing this right now. He, in the last year, he's done $3 million in sales volume and bringing value to his community just by doing video and helping them out. I think that is probably one of the most powerful things ever. And I love the whole golf cart thing for the football thing. I love that idea. By the way, I wrote down your egg hunt and your donut fund. I think those are genius, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to go to my favorite recommendation right now, and it's something that I plan to implement in my business for 2021. Earlier this year, Amita Jane released something called the Readability app, and that's at readabilitytutor.com. And I spent the first 20 years of my life teaching adults who were reading between first grade and college level, but mostly first to sixth grade, how to read it, to get their reading skills up. And what this app does, it takes voice recognition and artificial intelligence, and kids read on this app, and the app interacts with them. The kids read out loud, and when they mispronounce a word, the AI will ask them very nicely to repeat the word, and it'll say it for them. But what it does is and they've got comprehension questions. The content is all based on what the schools are already using to teach reading. And the thing that's so important about this is that this has gotten awards for from the parent teacher award, Mom's Choice Award. But what it does, it's individual, on demand, 24/7 reading, tutoring. And you think of what's happened with COVID and how kids are getting behind right now. This is huge. Now, the individual price is $19.99 per month for up to 3. So it's about 3 K through 6 readers. That's $6.67. Now, if you're sponsoring a group of 100 or more, the pricing is $50 per child per year. In other words, if you were to sponsor 100 readers, that would be $5,000 per year, or $417 per month. Now, Greg and Val, I know you're both geniuses at marketing. What would you do if you were implementing this in your business? Because I'm looking for ideas. I have my ideas about what I want to do for my business, but what would you do as a broker or agent?
Okay, first of all, I would immediately, I love the idea. I'm just still reeling with the idea of you talking about lunches. So how could I sponsor that maybe with a restaurant, cutting my bill in half to $2,500, getting a restaurant to help maybe possibly fund that a little bit so it's a little bit more affordable in the event that an agent's just starting out, and get lunches brought in possibly when they're doing that, or when the parents are you do like a monthly meeting with the lunch comes in, and you cross market. That's one of the first things that I see doing. But the idea that you could show yourself with a kid as you're reading or listening to it, and marketing that on a YouTube, maybe Greg, this is more your forte, but something with like maybe a 10-second or a 15-second clip where it's just so interesting, with that AI computer lady talking weird, and the kid talking back. You could even make parodies on it. It could be a whole thing. I love the idea of taking that to a whole different level and working on that, and then bringing someone else to help it. And if you can only afford 2 or 3 kids, challenge other businesses to come in and to support the kids. And then you have a whole year-long thing with this kid going. Can you see it? How cool is that, right?
Oh,
$20
yeah.
or $19.99 a month for 3 K through 6 readers. So if you've got a family with 3 kids in it, you could sponsor that family for $20 a month. I mean, this is
fund
doable
a
for all of
classroom.
us.
Just start off by funding a classroom. One
So,
classroom. Yeah.
so I'm dyslexic and I'm ADHD. And so I went to a lot of schools, that were not normal. I had to go to specialized schools to learn how to read. That was horrible, by the way. I've always joked about the fact that if I could get a chip put in my brain so I could read, I would be the first in line to do it. This sounds like the chip that you can put into your brain. Personally, I would go after all the specialized schools where the kids need extra time. I had to learn in a completely different way how to read a book. For me, I do not read fast. I can get through everything now, but I'm personally going to sign up for this app because I want to learn how to read a little bit better. And I would do Zooms, I would do YouTube videos, and guess who the parody would be? Me. Because you know what? I stumble over stuff, and you know what? That's okay. That's human. I'm not weird. I'm not abnormal. And a lot of people like myself, I've been ashamed of not being able to read. And I just said, to heck with it. I'm dyslexic. Who cares? You don't like me? Whatever, go away. But you know what? No one has ever shamed me except for one kid. And that was back in the day, but no one in adult life will. So own yourself. And you know what? If you're dyslexic too and ADHD, grab this, start reading and say, hey guys, I want to put a book club together. Let's read together. We can do it on Zoom. A lot of parents are sitting at home trying to get their kids to read. The teachers are trying to get them to read, but it's a difficult uphill battle, especially kids that needed the extra help like myself. I would reach out to every K through 6 school and say, hey, I want to get these to your students. How can we do this together? Maybe talk to the people that were funding their newsletters. I mean, the advertisers that did the school newsletters. Well, they can't do the newsletters anymore. Why don't they fund this? There's so much money floating up there. All you gotta learn how to do is go up there and grab a little bit of it, put it over here where it's gonna be better for the kiddos. And you don't know how much that's gonna impact a child's life. To not be shamed, to be able to read it in private, be able to become better, be able to become educated and become a beacon in their community. This is an all-round grand slam hit.
It is.
Love this.
It's huge. And for me,
I'm just thinking again, Bernice, to go off on what Greg was talking about, is look and see who those people were that were making the donations here, and say, as a collective, let's start this together. And it doesn't even need an Indian chief to run it, so to speak. You don't need someone above you. It would be a collective kind of a thing, so that there doesn't have to be a president or a chief or this. It could be just people getting together and solving our own community. When they say it takes a village, the village starts with a couple of people saying, hey, let's sit down together and make this work. And it's so workable, and there's no downside to it.
So for me, as someone this is near and dear to my heart, the gift of reading unlocks so many other things. It unlocks, it's the foundation for getting a job. It's the foundation for doing well in life. And when you give that gift to someone and you do it through K through 6, if you can make it sustainable and those kids start moving on, that's making a difference in their lives. And for all those single parents out there who have struggled with having to work during the pandemic, and their kids are like latchkey kids, they're by themselves, you hand them this app and they can spend time reading, and the app never gets impatient with them, and the materials are highly engaging, and they're having fun. They get to go at their own pace. So this to me is huge. I want to encourage everybody who's, no matter what your passion is, consider what we've talked about today and look for something that you can do for your community. Val, to kind of wrap up, what would be your recommendation for the people who are watching this today?
Taking what you're passionate about, going to the source and asking, how can I be of service? How could I be of service? And their ideas would spur further ideas for you. And again, you can start out small if it's just one little thing. But what's available now, which is so exciting, is that it's free to push it out onto the social media, and anybody can become an influencer within their community doing the better thing.
And Greg?
My mind's going 1,000 miles an hour over here. And I'm one more thing on the whole readability app is the fact that why couldn't parents start a GoFundMe page? Because there's a lot of lost money out there that was being spent on different things in school or anything else. Why couldn't parents fund this for other parents? Why couldn't this be a self-perpetuating thing where this could be a total takeout, rock out of the park thing, and you could just be the instigator and just kind of facilitate it and build little tribes all around the cities so that all these different kids can help, the parents can help the kids grow more. But that's what I'm thinking. That's my takeaway on this. Val and I could probably, and Bernice could probably go for a couple of hours on this, but think out of the box, have some fun, be creative, do blue water hunting, do something someone is not doing. Okay. Like Val talked about the Easter egg hunt, the donut fund, we talked about the food give back at your brokerages. Think of yourself. What gap could you fill in someone else's life and then execute on it immediately? Because where there's a will, there's a way. People will get behind you, start making the world a better place by helping one person, then that person will help one person. And then all of a sudden, we got a whole new outlook on life, guys. It's that simple. Be that change in your community.
And again, this is really, I believe as real estate professionals, we are uniquely positioned to help people start to come together on these kinds of community initiatives, because they are healing for all of us when we can work together towards a common goal. So I want to thank everybody for being with us today. Val, thank you for joining us. Always love seeing you. And Greg, great show as always. Thanks. See you next time.
Well,